everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. We are very happy to have you. We're going to talk about a very time-sensitive topic. We've covered it before, but now the deadline is closer than ever. And so we've brought back DrBalcony to talk about what are the requirements for the California balcony law and how can you comply with those. There are consequences if you don't comply. So definitely important that you know this and get to it as soon as possible. Before we begin, I want to just start with a quick reminder. We do record this entire session and send it to you all within 24 hours after the webinar, most likely tomorrow. And we also will send you the PowerPoint slides and the contact information for DrBalcony in case you do need to follow up and ask additional questions. This presentation will last around 40 to 45 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A session. So make sure that if you have questions, you put them in the Q&A box and not the chat. The Q&A box helps us to keep the questions just a little bit more organized. And so with all that said, I want to introduce to you Gregory Carlos. He is with DrBalcony, and he's going to introduce himself a little bit, give a little bit more detail on what he does. But we're very happy to have you with us, Greg. As usual, you are going to be sharing with us a lot of the tidbits of information that we all need to know. So I'll hand it off to you to get started.
Of course. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm here once again to talk about the SB721, SB326 ordinances. These are commonly known as the California balcony laws. Most of you have heard about it by now. But yeah, let's get started. So right before we start, I actually wanted to run that first poll, Alexandra, if you could. I just wanted to know how many people had heard about these ordinances before the actual webinar was announced.
Yep, just place that one up on the screen. So now that we've known about it for a few years, I think the first time we talked about this might have been 2021 or 20,
Yeah.
yeah, right? So it's been a while. And then I know it sounded at that time like it was so far away. And
Hmm.
now here we are. We're very
Yep.
close to it. So
Time
let me
flies.
show you the results of the poll here. Looks like about 86% of you have heard of it before and 14% have not. So I'll
Perfect.
stop the poll there and let you continue.
Of course. No, that's great because back in 2021, it was more like 90% hadn't heard about this. And, we were really trying to spread awareness. So that's great that most people are informed. So yeah, some brief overview about why these ordinances were introduced is that in 2015 in Berkeley, tragically, 13 young adults were on a balcony. The balcony collapsed and they fell 40 feet to the ground. Tragically, six of these young adults were killed. They lost their lives, and the other seven were seriously injured. The building was only built in 2006, and after further investigation, they found that the reason for this collapse was dry rot. Most people, including myself, would consider this a pretty new building, a relatively new building, and we're really surprised at, you know, how a new building would have enough dry rot, for the balcony to collapse. So because of this, in 2018, the SB721 bill was introduced, and in 2019, the SB326 amendment for condominiums and HOAs was introduced as well. So exterior elevated elements, what are exterior elevated elements? Though this is commonly known as the balcony law, it doesn't just pertain to balconies. It pertains to balconies, decks, porches, stairways, walkways. Anything that is above 6 feet off the ground has a walking surface and is meant to be walked on, is subject to an inspection by the deadline. As mentioned, 6 feet off the ground, designed for human occupancy, meant to be walked on, and it has to rely partially or wholly on wood for its structural stability and support. So a couple of examples. We have the cantilevered balconies here on the left side in the blue. Everyone agrees these are going to be subject to inspection. They're sticking out from the balcony. They're on the exterior. They meet all the qualifications, 6 feet off the ground. Partially, though they're stucco and the wood is not exposed, there's going to be wood inside of that stucco that uh, the balcony uses for its structural support and yeah, very obviously they're going to require inspection. On the top left, you have a roof overhang where it was causing more confusion where when the ordinance was first introduced, but by now most people know that this is not subject to the ordinance. It's technically 6 feet off the ground. It has a walking surface, but is not meant to be walked on. Therefore, it is exempt from any inspection. In the middle there, you have Juliet balconies. These are purely for decorative purposes. They're not meant to be walked on. They don't have a walking surface. Therefore, they're going to be exempt from any inspection. And then on the very right side, you're going to have these are what causes the most confusion amongst people. It's they're supported balconies. They're supported on three sides. They're not technically sticking out from the building like the cantilevered balconies, but they're still on the exterior. They meet all of the requirements, being 6 feet off the ground. They're still open to the natural elements and can have rot, decay, things like that, and therefore they're still going to be subject to the ordinance as well. So a couple of more examples here. So on the left-hand side, you're gonna have a stairway and small landing or walkway that's going to be wood and it's going to be exposed. As you can see right under that landing, there's going to be open joists that, it's going to be more of a visual inspection because all of the wood is already exposed. They might do a moisture meter test. They might do a poke test. It's a much quicker and easier way. Typically, in a case like this, the wood since it's exposed, you're going to be able to see any rotting, and the owners usually have a better idea of the status of their exterior elevated element. In the middle, you're going to have walkways that have stucco underneath. The stucco, this would be considered an enclosed exterior elevated element because the stucco is covering all of the wood. So typically for an inspection like this, you're going to need to open up the stucco portion of the walkway, and take a look at the wood in order to see the current condition and properly evaluate the exterior elevated element. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to have a walkway that is completely metal and concrete. Now, these are going to be a lot less common. They're you typically, you don't see a completely metal walkway. However, yeah, this is going to be exempt from inspection from this ordinance. If your exterior elevated elements, whether it's a balcony, walkway, stairway, whatever it may be, is completely metal or completely concrete, it does not have any wood, it's going to be exempt. So the SB721 and the SB326, as mentioned, we have two types of, two different bills here. So just so I know which one to focus more on, I don't want to waste everyone's time if we don't have anyone with condominiums or anyone with apartments. So Alexandra, could you run that second poll or that poll where it was about how many people are here for apartments versus condominiums?
Yeah, sure. So I put it up on the screen. So SB 721 for apartments or multifamily, SB 326 for condominiums or HOAs with three or more units. And I didn't put on here if none of the above applies because there might be some people here or it might not apply to you
Yeah.
at all. But I think you might cover this later. I might be jumping the gun here, but you probably still should be getting your balconies inspected regardless, right? Even if
Yeah.
it's not a 3+ unit kind of situation where it's required by law. Clearly, there are some safety benefits to doing that anyway.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Right now we're just going to focus on these ordinances, but yeah, of course, even if you don't You're not under either of these jurisdictions, we'd always recommend, right? Tenant safety and safety of yourself and your loved ones is always a priority.
Great. All right. So I'm going to share the results. It looks like 93% are here for the
Okay.
apartments, multifamily,
Okay.
and just a few here for condos or HOA.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. So, yeah, the most of you are here for the apartments. There's still some people that are here for the condominiums and HOAs, so I will briefly go over that as well. But the differences between the two ordinances are that for the SB 721, this pertains to any multifamily apartments. They both have the same requirements of the three or more units, whereas the SB 326 is going to be for condominiums and HOAs. The deadline is going to be the same, December 31st, 2024. Technically, it's January 1st, 2025, but you have to have your inspection completed before that. So where they differ is that for the SB721, the sampling size is going to be 15% of each type of exterior elevated element. So if you have 100 balconies, you have to have 15 of them inspected. If you have 100 walkways, you have to have 15 of them inspected. Now, this is the minimum. The inspector, the architect, engineer, whoever does this inspection can ask for a larger sample size if needed. But this sample size will be representative of the rest of the balcony, of the rest of the property. So if, any issues are found in these 100 property and these 100 exterior elevated elements, they might ask to, see the rest. For the SB326, it's a much more thorough inspection. They are going to have a 95% confidence rate, and the ordinance technically says it has to be a statistically significant sampling of all elements. And because of this, typically they're going to inspect every exterior elevated element. Because it's a much more thorough inspection, you only have to get this done every 9 years. And because the SB721 is a much more brief inspection, you have to have this done every 6 years. Now, who can conduct these inspections? An inspector with a structural engineer, an architect, a general contractor with a B1 license, a certified home inspector are all able to do the SB 721 inspections, whereas only a structural engineer or an architect are able to do the SB 326 inspections. So the typical inspection process. So typically a company will give you a proposal that will include all of your exterior elevated elements. It'll break them down for you and let you know what will be inspected. Uh, Most companies will do this free of charge. DrBalcony does. We will then determine, as mentioned, a baseline numbers of how many exterior elevated elements you need to inspect. So if you have 100 balconies, we'll let you know, hey, you need to inspect 15, 20, whatever it may be. And once again, this is only the beginning baseline number. Once the inspection is taking place, the inspector may ask for a larger sample size. If the exterior elevated element is an open deck, then as mentioned, it's going to be a much quicker inspection. It's going to be much less thorough. They already have the wood exposed and they're able to see if there's any rotting. They don't have to open anything up. If the exterior elevated element is covered as shown on this picture on the right, this is a much more common exterior elevated element. Then they're going to have to do a visual inspection from the top, and then they will also be conducting some sort of intrusive testing typically. They Some companies may open, take off the entire bottom side in order to get an idea of what's going on inside of the exterior elevated element. What we do here at DrBalcony is that we will drill small holes about the size of a nickel, about 2 to 3 inches deep, just to get through the stucco. We will insert a borescope camera and take detailed images that are going to be included in your report. Now, this inspection method has been patented by DrBalcony. So this is something that we're really proud of, and it's really the preferred method of a lot of people. It's less destructive. We're gonna plug up those holes right away, and we're gonna use those holes again in 6 years. After that, the inspection report will be written for the client. So the inspection report, what's it going to include? So there are certain things that have to be included, and these are all mentioned in the SB721 ordinance. So the inspection report must be signed or stamped by the architect, engineer, whoever did your inspection. After that, the report should also identify all exterior elevated elements, such as balconies, staircases, landings, walkways, railings, that are at the property. It should include photos, so that way a company can not just tell you, "Hey, we found rot." They have to show you where they found it, by and evidence using the photos. And then tips and recommendations for routine interval maintenance of your exterior elevated elements, along with the current physical condition, letting you know whether it's a non-emergency repair, whether it's an emergency repair required, or whether it's in passing condition. Along with along with this is the future performance, uh, that they expect from the exterior elevated element. So just to go a little more into detail with these possible outcomes. So obviously there's the pass. If you pass, you're going to be good for the next 6 to 9 years, depending on if you have an SB721 or an SB326. You don't have to worry about anything else. The local jurisdictions will likely start asking for these reports within the next couple of months once the new year starts, and technically you have to keep this in your records for the next 2 cycles, which is going to be 12 years for the SB721 and 18 years for the SB326. So this is so that, if they don't ask you for it in January, you still must prove that you uh, had this inspection done before the end of the year. So a non-emergency condition. So a non-emergency condition is the most common type of failure. It means that there is not an immediate threat, but we're not able to verify that this exterior elevated element is going to be, safe for the next 6 years. So then if you have a non-emergency condition, the inspector must deliver the report to the owner within 45 days of the inspection. After that, depending on your failure, you must apply for any permits within 120 days. And after that, you must make the repairs after 120 days, once the permit is approved. So if the repairs cannot be completed within 180 days, then the inspector must notify local jurisdictions, and typically local jurisdictions will talk to you, give you an extension, and if that extension is granted, you'll typically have another 30 days. If after that it is still not met, and everything is not complied with, then at that point they could assess civil penalties. Emergency repairs are a lot less common. Typically, this means that there's large amounts of rot, rust, whatever it may be, and the balcony or exterior elevated element are, um, not in a safe condition for any tenants. Typically, when this happens, there has to be immediate preventative measures taken. Typically, they have to prevent occupant access, install temporary shoring, whatever it may be. And if this is the case, we have to provide the report to the owner and to the local jurisdiction within 15 days of the report completion. After that, you must work with the local jurisdiction immediately to try to apply for permits and get this fixed as soon as possible. So the permit application process, so after you have your inspection done, typically you have to hire a qualified engineer or architect to draw up plans and show the city how you're going to address these issues and how you're going to, fix your balcony or your exterior elevated element. It's typically a back and forth with the city, and after they approve the plans, they will give you something called an RTI, ready to issue permit. After you have your RTI, the city will, no, sorry, the owner will have to shop around, find a contractor, and the contractor will pull the permit from the city, begin construction, and follow the steps on the permit and the plans on how to repair the balcony. So once again, here are the penalties on the right. If there's not compliance in the proper timeframes with these repairs, the ordinance does state that you may be fined $100 to $500 per day, as well as your building may be red flagged. So a couple of people say, hey, well, my balcony looks like it's completely fine, right? This is one of the more shocking cases that we've had here at the um, at the company where this this balcony looked completely fine. It felt fine from the exterior. And a lot of people say, hey, why can't I just have a visual inspection? Now, the reason is visually, these balconies here, they look completely fine. They looked in great shape. However, after, doing our boroscope method, we found that there was large amounts of rust. And after opening everything up, we found this. So, as you can see, there's going to be a lot of rot and decay in this balcony. Definitely not safe for the next 6 years or even the immediate future. And yeah, this is only something that could be found through a more intrusive and thorough inspection. And this is what it should look like. So this is what it looked like after the repair. As you can see, we kept some of the older joists. We didn't, we tried to save as much as we can. This was a much worse balcony. It wasn't we weren't able to save a whole lot, but we saved what we could, and we did some joist sistering, other repair methods, and uh, now here we are. So some warning signs, things that we found are typically indicators of, hey, my property may not pass, is when you have a lot of cracks on the surface, when you have a lot of rot or rust that is visible, when you have unstable railings, or when you live near bodies of water. Now, cracks typically, depending on how deep that crack is, it can allow moisture penetration. Sometimes you have plants that you're watering on the balcony or whatever it may be. The water can over time seep through that crack and affect the structural integrity. Rot and rust, obviously, are warning signs. And then the unstable railings. Typically, if you have an unstable railing, something happened in the connection. Either rust caused corrosion, and now the bolt is needs replacement, or there's rotted wood around the connection, and that is causing that unstable railing. All right, so that's pretty much it for the ordinances themselves. We're going to be talking about really quickly about DrBalcony, who we are, how we can help, get as many people in compliance as possible. So, here at DrBalcony, we're an engineering firm that focuses solely on these balcony inspections to comply with the SB721 and SB326. Now, we are a tech engineering firm as well, so we have tried to merge technology with these inspections. We've created an app that uses AI in order to, help us create reports much faster and find, uh, you know, defects and solutions that may not have, come to our engineers, at first glance. So here at DrBalcony, we're trying to be the leaders in this industry. We've performed over 1,000 of these inspections to date, and we're trying to keep up with the high demand because, as you can imagine, there's millions of people that need to get this done. So with our app, you'll be able to manage all of your projects from one place. You'll have a list that you can click through, download your reports at any time, pay your invoices, get an instant quote. Anything you need, you'll be able to see on there, get updates, chat with us, whatever you may need. We're trying to make it the one-stop shop for this process. We're also going, so typically, the step, I'm going to take you through, uh, what getting started on the app entails. So number one, you're going to take a short questionnaire, about 10 questions or so, about, your balcony. How many balconies do you have? How big is it? What is it made of? Is it conventional wood and wood framing? Is it concrete and or is it metal? Well, we want to make sure that you need this inspection before we sell it to you. After that, you're going to receive your proposal, your contract on there immediately. You'll be able to see an outline in red of your property to make sure, a lot of times properties have two, three buildings, and we want you to rest assured that your entire property is going to be included. You'll receive an instant price, and you will, be able to see all the details of the contract as well. After that, you'll be able to sign your contract, get started, schedule it, make your payments, download your report, anything you may need from your panel. And of course, the entire way, we're going to be sending you emails, text messages, keeping you updated. Sometimes, you can turn them off if it's a little too much for you, but we want to keep you updated every step of the way. We want to tell you, hey, your inspection was completed by the inspector. Now our quality control engineer is working on this, and now our senior architect is working on this. So you're going to be receiving notifications the entire time. So when the ordinance was first introduced, it said that you should not have the same company doing the inspections as the actual repairs themselves. Therefore, DrBalcony has kept this method throughout. It has since been amended because there was not enough companies to do the actual inspections. However, we will still only do the inspections and the architectural work or the permitting if needed. We will not do the actual work in order to protect your conflict of interest. So we have a free referral system, referral for proposal system for a list of contractors that we can refer you to if needed once you do your inspections and your work with us. That way you can get bids and find the contractor that best fits your needs. And in case you need any more reasons to choose DrBalcony, we have once again our patented inspection method of drilling the holes. We guarantee that we will beat any price by 15 to 20%. Just give us the quote. And we've completed, actually, I think by now we've completed over 1,000 inspections this year. And once again, the sooner the better. Don't wait until last minute. You need to have a budget in mind. If you wait until the deadline, it's going to be even more chaotic than it is now. We're able to schedule you anytime from next week to the month after, but I'm not sure if this is going to change with the increased number of inspections that we're getting daily. So yeah, try to get this done as quickly as possible. Protect the liability of your loved ones, protect your tenants, and yeah, don't wait until the deadline. So yeah, I think that's it as far as the presentation itself. I'll now open it up to any questions.
Thank Thank you so much for that. I did put the have you had your inspections done yet here just to see how many of you on the call would need this.
Mhm.
And then I'll leave that up while I start to put up some of these questions. So a couple questions about what areas you service. Is it all of California?
Yeah, we do all of California. We do, our office is located in Tustin, but we do have inspectors in Northern California. We have a couple of them in Sacramento, San Jose, San Diego, down south. And our inspection that we've had the most northern inspection we've had to date is actually in Mount Shasta. So we're
Oh,
pretty much all over California.
nice. All right. So an anonymous attendee asked, said that they manage properties and asked if this is mainly for multi-unit and apartments. And that was at the beginning of the presentation. So yes, it is. Um,
Yes.
and do you work with property managers or how do you recommend
Yeah,
going about
so
that?
yeah, of course. So our app is designed for property managers or for people that are managing more than one property, right? We understand it's a hassle to, have to do all of these inspections by the deadline. So we're trying to help you stay organized with all of your inspections. We offer group pricing. We offer different types of services in order to help property managers. So definitely give us a call. However, yes, this is for any apartments or condos with three or more units.
Great. And Srinivas asked, any certified inspector can do it, or someone has to be specially certified?
Yeah, specially certified. So I'm not because we're not home inspectors. I'm not 100% sure on the type of licensing that is needed for the home inspectors. But there is a special certificate that is needed.
Hmm. And David asked, is this bill nationwide?
No, only California. So it's only California at this time.
Great. And Ed asked, do you charge for an estimate?
No, we give us a call. We will give you a estimate immediately. And there's no charge for an estimate. You can give us as many calls as you need and find out whether you need this, whether answer any questions you may have. We have a full service team here in office. We've got about 10 to 12 sales guys daily answering the phone, customer support team, all that good stuff.
Nice. Corrine asked, can you refer someone to do inspections in Fresno, California? That's
Yeah.
your service area.
Yes, so we can definitely do that. I'm actually going to be up there this weekend, training more inspectors. We have a couple of them in the area already, but yeah, I'm actually going to be in Fresno this weekend. So give us a call, we can definitely go there as soon as this weekend.
That's great. Might as
Yeah.
well. Rita asks, you inspect and repair cantilever cement stairs with a steel that holds the stair treads. Treads have some chips.
So if it's completely concrete and steel, from what I heard from that, then
Hmm.
no. Right now, we are focusing solely on uh, properties that fall under these ordinances because there's such a high demand.
Yeah,
And we want to help get as many people into compliance as possible. So if there is any sort of wood in there, then yes. If it's completely metal and concrete, unfortunately, no, not at this time.
got it. Okay. Kat asked, on a triplex with two
Mhm.
separate buildings, no attached roof line, is that exempt?
So technically, most local jurisdictions are going to go by the APN, the assessor parcel number. So if they're still on the same lot, if it is technically a triplex, you're still subject to this ordinance, even if it's, different buildings.
Okay, great. So I think that wraps up the questions that I see so far. Maybe, oh, here we go. Mark asked, do you look at Google Earth to determine the scope of work at the property prior to the inspection?
Yeah, so we have a couple of different methods that we use. So we have data that has been compiled from different websites. We work closely with real estate companies, other vendors that all of their data has been compiled onto our app in order to give us access to this. If there's any questions about, um, sometimes the owners will give us a call and ask us, "Hey, can you look at my property on Google Maps real quick?" Yeah, we can definitely do that. That is something that we do daily in order to verify, the balconies or answer any questions about that. So yeah, definitely.
Chris is asking, if repairs are found to be necessary, do they need to be completed by this year end to avoid penalties?
No, so your property will have its own timeline. If it's an emergency condition, it will have one timeline. If it's a non-emergency, it will have another. So if it's a non-emergency, You will have 4 months from um, the date that you received your report to apply for any necessary permits. And after the permits are granted, you'll have another 4 months to do the repairs. If you have an emergency condition, you will technically have about 15 to 30 days after you receive the report to apply for any necessary permits. And once again, that's only for the permits because a lot of people think that's for the repairs and they get scared. That's only to apply for permits. To typically you'll have to restrict access to the damaged area. And then after you receive the permits, you will have you'll have to begin work right away. But the only thing that has to be done by the end of this year is the inspection itself.
Got it. Okay. Um, Heidi, since your inspections are free, how do you charge?
So our consultations are free. Our
Mhm.
consultations are free. We do have a fee for the actual inspection. However, once again, if you give us any competing quote that is lower than ours, we're the leaders in this, and we will beat any quote by 15 to 20%.
Yeah, it's the consultation that's free and the
Yeah,
estimate that's free.
yeah,
Tom says, I just went to drbalcony.com and went through the process and it was $1,474.50 for an inspection. I thought your inspection was free. So that answers his question too.
yeah,
And I do like that it gives you an exact number so there are really no surprises. That's
yeah,
actually really cool. I don't know if other
yeah, of
companies
course.
are doing that, but it's nice to know what it's going to cost you just by entering
Yes.
in some information.
And the last thing I will say is give us a call. I forgot to mention this earlier, but if you mention that you're coming from this webinar, we will give you 20% off of whatever price the website spits back at you. So give us a call and we'll go ahead and drop that down. Just let us know, hey, I was at the presentation. We can see your email and all that information, and we'll give you a better price.
Great. Okay, I'm going to write that down because I'm going to
Hmm.
make sure to email that to everyone, even if they
Yeah.
didn't attend today, and let them know.
Okay.
And just so you all know, again, if you missed it at the beginning, I did say I'm going to be emailing everyone the recording, the
Hmm.
slides. I'm going to do a little reminder there about the 20%. So basically, they can fill out your contact form or call you and say, hey,
Hmm.
I was on the AAOA webinar.
Yep.
Can I get the 20% off? Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Rita says, I have several balconies to be inspected. Could you
Hmm.
also do a visual on those cement treads at that time? Oh, okay. So this was her previous question was the
Hmm.
cement treads, but I guess she also has other balconies as well.
So, I mean, looking at it, I would be able to tell her. I don't want to promise it, without actually being able to see it. What I can say is, give us a call, give us that address. We can look it up. This is one of those situations where we would look at it on Google, with you. You can send us photos, and yeah, we can look at that. We can look at that too. Now, it probably wouldn't be, um, it wouldn't be included as an inspection on your report because the report should be only for the exterior elevated elements that contain wood. But yeah, yeah, why not?
Great. Okay. Chris is asking, what is the difference between an estimate and a consultation?
Yeah, so I believe the estimate is part of the consultation, right? So we will answer any questions beyond pricing during the consultation, if you want to know what the inspection process will be like, if you have any questions, whatever you need, we can do during the consultation. I believe the estimate will be a part of that.
Great. Yeah, and as we saw, you can also do the estimate online yourself
Yeah.
if you want to just check out the pricing.
Hmm.
Um, Heidi also asking, do you do inspections on single family homes?
So not at this time. So we are only focusing on properties that need these inspections by the end of this year. We just don't have the capacity to, focus on anything
Yeah.
else, just because there's such a high demand for this. So only three or more units at this time.
Christian asking, on a simple redwood stairway with landing, what is the process and cost?
So if it's exposed wood, then If it's exposed wood, then it would simply be a moisture meter test, a visual inspection, a poke test. If it's enclosed wood, then once again, it would be our drilling method. As far as cost, that would depend on, how big the stairway is, how big the landing is, the location of the property. You can get an instant estimate on our website, so feel free to go on there or give us a call and we can, walk you through the actual inspection process itself for your specific property and also give you a quote over the phone.
Great. Yeah, that's really helpful. David was asking, are you seeing wood-built stairs versus metal deteriorating faster? What's the lifespan? I'm building 2 stairs soon.
So we've only been looking at wood, so most of our sample size is going to be wood. Now after we inspect, we've had people who we inspect their properties and exposed wood definitely deteriorates faster because it has nothing covering it. However, if you have wood with stucco covering it, typically that's in our personal experience has been about the same as metal because metal people tend to forget about it a little more. They think, hey, I don't have to do as much work on this, but at the same time, rust and other factors can still affect your metal walkway or stairway. So I would say whatever it is that you build, as long as you're doing general maintenance, which is every couple of years applying, every 5 years applying a coat of waterproofing, then you we've had properties that are 70 years old that passed their inspections because, this owner took care of their balconies and did routine maintenance. And then we've had, as you saw in Berkeley, 9-year-old buildings, they were never taken care of and, it collapsed. So I wouldn't say there's necessarily too much of a difference from what we've seen.
Hmm. That is an interesting question. Janet was asking here, I have a fourplex, but only two have balconies. What category does this fall in?
Yeah, that is the SB721. It is subject to an ord to the ordinance. So even if you have one balcony, one stairway, you're still subject to inspection as long as there's three or more units at the property.
Great. Chris asked, could you please explain one more time what the $1,474.50 for consultation? So that was a specific estimate that somebody
Yeah.
looked up on your site. I'm gonna just share my screen briefly because I think this will clear up some confusion. So this is their website, right? So if you want to get an instant quote or get a free estimate, right? I think if you click this button, correct me if
Hmm.
I'm wrong,
Yeah.
it takes you over to the page where you can create an account and then answer some questions. The estimate will be different for everyone depending on what they
Ev-
answer, right?
Everyone is different, so it depends on your service area, it depends on uh how many balconies, stairways, walkways you may have had on your property or how big, those exterior elevated elements are. So everyone's quote is different. We've had an inspection for $900. We've had inspections for two, three, $4,000 because there's 40, 50 balconies, right? So it really depends on your specific property.
Yes. And Chris, yes, the estimate is free, but the inspection is not. They do
Yeah.
charge an inspection fee. That is the estimate that you're getting, right? Is what you're
Yeah.
going to pay for the inspection. Okay. Let me see if there's any other questions here in the chat. Christian asks, does this law apply to stairs leading to the front door of the building?
So if it's more than 6 feet off the floor, yes. Typically the stairs leading up to the front door won't be more than 6 feet off the floor. But if they're more than 6 feet off the ground, then yes, they would be subject to the ordinance.
Okay, that's a great answer. That's true, because if it's just a few steps, it shouldn't
Yeah.
count, right? Okay, wonderful. Well, as you all exit here, because I don't see any more questions coming in, but if you do throw one in, I'll answer it. Or Greg will. Peggy says, we have downstairs units and upstairs units. The downstairs deck are less than 6 feet off the floor. The upstairs decks are over 6 feet. So do the downstairs units need inspection too?
No, no, we're only going to inspect exterior elevated elements, and the definition of an exterior elevated element is 6 feet off the ground.
Okay. Well, that answers that question. And so, as I mentioned, I'm going to send everyone the recording, the PowerPoint slides, the website for DrBalcony so you can go and get the estimate, also the 20% off offer. So you all have that. Chris says thank you for this useful webinar.
Of course, thank
Yeah, and Rita says, just to confirm, you only inspect and do not make any repairs, but do you
yes,
provide referrals for
yes, we do.
contractors?
So we
Awesome.
have a list of contractors that we'll give you after, once it's time for that. But yes, we will not do any repairs to protect your conflict of interest. We just do the inspections and the architectural work.
Amazing. Okay. So, as you exit, please take the exit survey. I'd love to hear what you thought about this. There is also an opt-in if you do want a consult, if you want Dr. Balcony to call you and you want a little bit more assistance, and also an invitation to our rental housing conference. If you do want to attend on October 16th, please say yes there. You can attend in person in Long Beach, California, or online. Actually, Dr. Balcony will be there. So we are very excited to have you all at the trade show there. And we're going to be learning about so many different things that day and connecting with some amazing advertisers. We are very picky. It's a select number of advertisers that we feel are just very crucial for your rental business. And so, it's going to be a full day of networking. And I hope that some of you are in Southern California can make the trip out to join us in person for that day. It's going to be, I think, a fantastic way for you to get up to speed on all things that you need to know about, especially if you're in California, all of the eviction laws, the new fair housing laws, all of that stuff. So, hope to see you there. Please let me know if you'd like to attend. And thank you again, Gregory, for doing this presentation. It's always helpful, and I'll be sure to send out the recording to everyone after this.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.